noise, and then there'll be a little bit at the end where we'll do a Q&A. So basically, are you pressing record? Is it recording? Okay. Oh yes, is it recording? Fantastic. Yeah. So basically, Kirsten's going to just do a little introduction about ParkBathe and how this project came about, and then I'll explain a little bit more about the community side that we are launching. And then, as I say, there'll be a Q&A at the end. So let me put my share screen. And Kirsten, if you just tell me when you want me to move the slides down. Can everybody see that all right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Fantastic. All right. So Kirsten McCune is one half of ParkBathe. And yeah, do you want to give a little introduction as how we started?
Yeah, sure. If you could move me on to the first slide, please. The arrow key might do it.
Hang on. Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so thanks for joining us this evening. Really appreciate everybody being able to make it. I know it's dinner time for some people, so we'll try and keep this quick and leave room for questions at the end. So me and Vanessa met a couple of years ago because all of my research is about compassion. So I'm an associate professor of health and wellbeing at the University of Derby. And for the past 20 years, I've been evaluating talking therapies such as compassion focused therapy and building the evidence for those. So compassion focused therapy is now available in 25 NHS hospitals and across more than 25 different countries. So Vanessa actually got in touch originally to interview me for her mindfulness podcast called Finding Your Right Mind about my work in compassion. And just by chance, we got talking afterwards about forest bathing, because I mentioned I'd just been trained by the Forest Bathing Institute in Surrey. And Vanessa mentioned that her next series for a podcast was going to be called something like Walk, Talk, Coffee, the idea that you could go out into your local park, do mindfulness activities in a group, and then go for a local coffee, so supporting local businesses and social connection following the pandemic, and also teaching people mindfulness techniques on their doorstep in their local park, and hopefully helping them to appreciate their local green spaces more. And so when we sort of talked a bit about Vanessa's experience as a mindfulness advocate and my recent experience training as a forest bathing guide, we got together. I came over and showed Vanessa some of the techniques I'd learnt in terms of mindfulness in nature. And basically we came up with ParkBathe, and Vanessa's idea was that it could be a little bit like Park Run, so a sort of health initiative that people can access in parks. And a bit like Park Run, really, ParkBathe is the idea that you can do emotion regulation and mindfulness activities in your local park. You don't have to have any previous experience, and you can come along and bring your skepticism. So in the same way that Park Run targets people who wouldn't necessarily be professional runners or go off and do a marathon, ParkBathe is really targeted at people who might not normally walk in their local park, who certainly wouldn't do anything mindfulness based for well-being, might be too skeptical of it. So the idea is it's a bit of a taster. Once people get into it, hopefully they'll go off and discover other forms of emotion regulation as well. But it's sort of taking care of that early skepticism and giving people something they can do on their doorstep. So it's a green health initiative providing a 1 hour silent guided mindful walk on people's doorsteps. And when we first ran this, we had funding from the big lottery, and we wanted to evidence what we were doing, but also feedback to people who were coming on their walks to show the potential benefit it could have. So we measured their heart rate variability before and after they walked and collected some brief well-being surveys just to look at how they were doing. And this really helped with people's skepticism, particularly if they're the sort of person who'd normally rush through a park at high speed or only go to the park for exercise. seeing how much their heart rate variability improved after a slow, relaxing walk was really convincing to them that actually this is a worthwhile activity, and maybe I should also try and walk slowly through my park and appreciate my surroundings. So it's definitely more than a walk in the park, and the emphasis is on the senses, so being in your senses rather than in your head or your to-do list. It's secular to make it widely accessible to people who wouldn't normally do mindfulness activities. It's silent, and it's 1 hour so that it can be done in a lunch hour for people who are extremely busy or might have carer responsibilities. Particularly important in London, where I understand it's, yeah, go, go, go all the time. So good for busy people. And we deliberately invited skeptics, harder to reach groups to experience a ParkBathe walk. If you could move on to the next slide, please, Vanessa. So a quick description of what park bathing is. It's a guided, slow, silent meander through an urban green space. It uses mindful awareness through the senses, so for example, sight, sound, touch and smell, to pay close attention to trees, bushes and plants that are in the park. And the sensory tasks include noticing colours, textures, listening to the wind through the trees, noticing birdsong, smelling mosses or leaf litter and touching tree bark. And it includes relaxing, slow breathing, various different mindful activities that Vanessa brings in with her experience and training, and information about the tree community, and there are opportunities to share the nice things that people have noticed. So although it's a silent walk, we understand if you see something really cool, you want to tell everyone. So we offer these opportunities to share the nice things that people notice. If you'd like to move on to the next slide, please, Vanessa. So in our citizen science study, these are just some results we got. So we had funding from the big lottery to take 60 people on a ParkBathe walk, and to date we've taken over 300 people. And these are just some of our survey results. So after an hour's walk, there was a 40% reduction in anxiety, a 50% reduction in mind chatter, or rumination, a 36% increase in nature connection, a 36% increase in feeling connected to other people, and a 15% increase in heart rate variability. And that's enough of an improvement that if you took that to your doctor, they would be impressed and pleased with that score. Next slide, please, Vanessa. These are just some other benefits of forest bathing type activities. So, you know, some of the activities of ParkBathe are inspired by forest bathing and mindfulness. And in previous research, mostly conducted in Japan and Korea, where activities like this are available on prescription, there are all these beneficial results. So been shown to regulate blood pressure, the cardiovascular system, improve immune functioning, reduce inflammatory markers such as cortisol, and reduce attentional fatigue and increase attentional capacity. And it's been trialled with a range of disorders, so depression, anxiety, sleep complaints, pain, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, hypertension, coronary disease, diabetes, and somatic complaints. So all of that previous research has shown that just merely walking in a forest or viewing a forest environment is beneficial in those ways. You know, they're beneficial to our health. But I suppose the idea is that if it's on your doorstep, it's something you can easily access and fit into a busy day, then hopefully this is something that could offer well-being benefits to people in your communities. Next slide, please. And I'll hand over to you now, Vanessa, for the next bit.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kirsten. So we ran ParkBathe primarily in Crystal Palace Park. And it was such a successful project, as Kirsten said. You know, we promised 60 people, but the project just wouldn't go away. It wouldn't stop, really, because the demand was there. And we started to talk and think, well, look, you know, clearly there is something more to this. And so we've come up with an initiative, because the really powerful thing about ParkBathe is how people adapt it and how people take it on and make it their own. And we love that aspect of it. So we wanted to make this a community-led project And one of the good way of doing this is to give this to friends of groups, because you've already got a green space, you care about nature and environment, and this is something that could be facilitated through friends of groups, in fact, anywhere, any organisation with a green space. So the community-led project will roll out over the coming year, and the idea is to hand ParkBathe to the community. We want to make it easy. We know that friends of groups are already running lots of events. You're all very, very busy, and you're always looking for volunteers. So we don't want this to be a burden. We want this to be beneficial to your green space and to fit alongside events that you're already running. So we would be providing support and training. We make the ParkBathe model as simple and as easy as possible. As I say, one of the things that's been a real joy to hear is how people go off and show these exercises that we teach in this 1 hour to their friends and family. And we found anecdotally that if someone comes on one walk, they will learn enough that they can go and teach their children, or they go and teach a friend. And in fact, we've seen that over and over, but also people adapt it. So for example, we've had evidence of, a group that we've found coming are runners, people who are already in the park, but they're running with headphones on and they're, running at speed or cycling. And so what they've done when they've come on a ParkBathe walk is they realise that this is a different part of their body that they get to look after. And so at the end of a run, let's say they do a 40-minute run, they're doing a 10-minute ParkBathe. And the exercises that we gave them, it was enough. It's not difficult to learn. So the other thing that we're really encouraging communities to do is to tailor walks for your community. And now that could be running walks for women only. There's an initiative to improve safety for women in parks. It could be for older people, if you've got an older generation, minority groups in your area. It could be for low mobility people. There's any number of communities that can benefit from ParkBathe. One of the really good things is anybody can ParkBathe. It's so versatile. We have taken children on walks, and I think the eldest Kirsten was 82, I think she was. So, it is all ages, and it's also all mobilities, because we did a walk where we toned it down and we shortened the distance and covered a very, very short distance. It's only about 200 feet, a very, very short distance, and that was for low mobility, and we took chairs for people that couldn't stand. So the other thing about ParkBathe, it works in any green space at all. You can do it in a very small space. You don't need to have beautiful, wild, ancient woodlands. In fact, you can do it in one tree. The idea of ParkBathe really, ultimately, is to get more people into their green spaces and using it for wellness. So one of the benefits as well for friends of groups that we would hope to see, and this is again anecdotally what we've seen, is at the end of a walk, and as I say, I've continued the project now. Kirsten's gone back up to Derby, so I've been doing this every month, and it's almost like it's scripted. People say exactly the same thing at the end, and there is this sense of pleasure and joy that comes not just from the walk, but from seeing their park with new eyes, seeing their green space in such a different way, almost in a childlike way. People often experience gratitude, and they feel very joyful. They feel all these things that we don't really talk about an awful lot. But one of the things they also feel is they care about their green space. And so we have we've forwarded people on to green volunteering, to gardening projects, because they actually want to curate, they want to actually take care of their green space. So we would really hope that this would add to your volunteer pool. One of the things that's been very successful is our ambassador program. Again, we didn't particularly intend this to happen. It kind of just happened. People wanted to help. They come to the end of the walk and they go, you've got me. I love it. I want to do more. What can I do? And so we now have a group of about 22 ambassadors, and they come and support all of our walks, which is amazing. And they also go around to their GPs and their health services, and they tell everyone about ParkBathe. So we would hope for a Friends of group that you would get some of that as well, that if you run these walks, then you will add to your volunteer pool. So how to host a community-led ParkBathe walk. As I say, we have a whole program that we've put together, and we want this to be really, really easy. the first thing that we would provide for you is a free walk for you guys, because it's all very well Kirsten and I talking about this and saying how wonderful it is and great, and we've got lovely, you know, stats and numbers, but it doesn't beat doing it for yourself. So that is absolutely an offer. We would be very happy. It will probably be me. I have another guide as well who would come and do a walk for your members, so you get the benefit. At the same time, we can also identify suitable areas of your green space to see which little nooks and crannies will work. And then it's very simple. You find a date that you would like to run a walk, and then we will take over a lot of the admin. So we will help you advertise it. We've got a central booking system where we put all the walks on. We've got quite a good mailing list now, so we tend to put out on, we use social media. We take about 10 people per walk. At the moment, there are actually walks in Cater Park and Crystal Palace Park. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, 3 of them are virtually full up. In fact, we always overbook slightly. So I know that there will all be very, very busy walks. So yeah, we book up the places on the walks, and then we send you a list of who's signed up, and we'll give you meeting signs, and we'll help you with organising where to meet people and how to organise all of that. We do suggest that 2 people run a walk, just because it's really nice to share tasks, and it also means for the group, kind of psychologically, it's very nice if you've got someone at the front and at the rear. One of the things, if you do get involved with the ParkBathe project, is it's weird. It's strange to walk slowly. And I say it at the beginning of every walk, everybody for the first 5 or 10 minutes has this little narrative in their head going, oh my God, what am I doing? This is just so, you get that voice that says, no, I haven't got time to do this. This is such a waste of my time. And what am I doing? And everyone's looking at me. It passes. But the walking slowly thing, you do have to experience it to really understand what that does to the body and how it slows us down and how beneficial that is and actually how nice that feels. So do it with someone else. It means that you can share all these tasks, and it also helps you to keep that slow, steady pace. All the exercises that we give you we call them invitations, because this isn't a school trip. It's an invitation to open your senses and to see your park with new eyes. We've often found as well, less is more. So the scripts that we give you are really simple, and they don't have to be followed exactly at all. This is a guide. We've developed the model over the years, and we've realized that there are certain sequences that work, and there are certain exercises that tend to be more receptive for people. So that's what they're there. They're there as a guide. It's very simple to run a walk. You just need an hour time. You wear warm clothing, sturdy shoes, all the things you might expect. And you can go in any weather apart from high winds. We say no to high winds because of the risk of trees. But rain is actually fabulous to do. I've done a couple of ParkBathes recently in quite heavy rain, and it was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, so basically we want this process to be easy for you, and we will facilitate and help wherever we can. So if you are and ParkBathe sounds interesting, then of course you can contact us and we can take it to the next stage and potentially lead a walk for you. So I'm going to just turn my, I'll provide this PowerPoint to everybody because there's some really useful reading here at the end if anybody wants this, if they want to know more about forest bathing. So I'm just going to, there we go, exit, there we go. Oh, I managed to do it on Teams, there we go. So I'd just like to open up. If anybody's got any questions, then please fire away, and either Kirsten and I will be very happy to answer them.
Quick question. This is Tana from Norwood Park. What would you suggest if we do end up starting a ParkBathe sort of within the park in terms of frequency or not, for people to to get used to it, or to make it a something to look forward to, an event that people or they expect?
That's a great question. So it's entirely up to you, and we would love if there were walks going out each, maybe once a month in each park, because the whole idea is we're all in the local areas. So the concept would work for the community if there was a walk in your park one month but then there was a walk in Whitehorse Rec, another walk in Crystal Palace. Then you see, if somebody's been, because we get referrals from GPs and health services, and if they can go to a map and go, well, look, you've got 4 walks you can choose from over the next 4 weeks, then that's a consistent service. So if you could aim for once a month, that would be amazing. If it's not as much as that, then that doesn't matter. It tends to be seasonal, so we tend to do more in the summer. But the other great thing is about ParkBathe, it runs all seasons, all through the winter. It's just a very different experience. And actually, we've got different exercises and different ideas we can give you if you were running them consistently. We would have regular meetings where we give you a whole bunch of new ideas for winter walks.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions?
Can I, sorry, it's Linda. Hi.
Hi.
I'm from Friends of Selsdon Wood, and a lot of people use Selsdon Wood very much as a dog walking area. Are dogs excluded from the group, or could they be an integral part of a group, perhaps purely a dog walkers group, because not everybody likes dogs around them? What's your view on that?
It's a really good question. It's actually one we've had a number of times. We also get the same question about babies in, the poosies and stuff. As a rule, a standard ParkBathe walk doesn't work if you are vigilant. So if you've got to watch out for something else, be it a baby or a dog, you are not going to go into, I suppose, what we'd call the zone, into this very kind of quiet, reflective and open experience, because you're watching, because you're constantly looking. We have talked with another group actually about doing a specific walk for dogs. We ran very successful family groups this summer. We took very stressed out parents and we gave them an hour ParkBathe. It was about 50 minutes actually. We took their children away with a nature facilitator and did loads of cool nature activities with the kids. And then we brought them all back together. It was a longer session. Oh my goodness, it was successful. And we actually wondered, could we do something similar for people who have dogs? So in other words, the dogs all go off with a dog trainer or someone who is quite happy to take 6 dogs and go and play with them. And then the dog walkers go without their dogs on their separate walk. So that's an option. But as a general rule, you would not be able to do.
That's okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Sorry, yeah, Lucy, my name's Lucy James. I am from the Wilderness in Shirley, to everybody. I was just asking, as far as minimum sort of area, as far as one of these walks could take place in, because we're a garden, we're not a park, but we're a woodland garden. And we're under 7 acres in size. And I was just wondering if that was too small.
No. We get wonderful anecdotal stories, and we have a lady that came, I think her first ParkBathe was last summer, and she now regularly ParkBathes in a little quad, which is at the bottom of her building, and a small square space. So you really don't need a large space at all. I mean, we cover about 1,500 meters on one small little stretch of Crystal Palace Park. In Cater Park, we just did a circuit around the edge. We really didn't need much space. I've done a recce around Kilburn Grange Park, which is a relatively small park up in Camden. And again, I only use small pockets, so you really don't need much space at all.
Okay, great, thank you.
These are all great questions, by the way.
Hi Vanessa, it's Millie here. I'm so sorry I keep turning my camera off because I'm on my phone, and I'm also under Colette, which is my work name. So Millie for friends and Colette at work. Hello. Very excited to do my first park walk next week. I know you're coming along to support me, so thank you for that. I had 2 questions. I'm fairly sure one question is in the aid memoir of things you sent, but it was around if people wanted to take photos either at the start or the end. I know for safety and for engagement, we don't want them. Have you got a sort of recommendation? I suppose it's about asking consent.
So
for social media.
So yes, so there's 2 things. Yes, photos don't avoid doing them. I just do a quick look. Everybody turn your phone off, put it away. If you want to take a photo, we're not saying don't, we'll just say go do it afterwards. So that's the answer for on the actual walk. Do you know what? In all those people, no one's ever batted an eye. So people are fine with that. At the end, we love it if people take a photo and all stand there, and quite often you find people are lying down and half asleep, which is fabulous. That's a win, because that means that they're super relaxed. Yes, of course, we do ask consent, and you will find that some people will step to the side and don't want to be in the photo.
Cool.
The vast majority don't mind, because it does help. And in fact, I do ask this question on walks, you know, what did you see? What made you book? And people say, oh, I saw a photo on Twitter. And I just thought that looks, you know, that looked really nice. So yes, if you can take a photo at the end, we do like that.
Great. And then I actually have two questions, sorry. So if people wanted to record their heart rate, is there anything that you would recommend them, a device? I'm just thinking, I can imagine some enthusiastic people say, I'd really like to pre and post record. What
Kirsten, I'm going to let you answer that one.
Yeah, we have had people on walks who have their own devices already that they use for exercise. It might be a wristwatch. They're very welcome to use those, to use what they've already got. We have 2 heart rate variability monitors, which are a chest strap. It's a bit like a belt, but it's worn a bit higher up on the body. And I mean, I don't know, could we lend them out potentially?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, you know, it's a little bit further down the line, but absolutely, you know, if a park, if a Friends of group is running some walks and would really like to do heart rate variability, then we can absolutely, you know, do a little training session on that, show you how it works. There's some software you need to put on your phone, and there's also understanding the readings, but it's very successful. You would probably find more men booking onto your walks. But it really helps with the skeptics. I mean, we've had some really quite seriously skeptic people who and we actually say that. We challenge people. We say, come, prove us wrong. Absolutely. You tell us that nature does nothing to improve your well-being and that walking slowly is a load of tosh. Absolutely. Come.
Yeah.
I think my friends all need this. That they like, you know, army route marches. It's like, I'm just like, slow down, smell the cherries.
Yeah, and we as I said, you know, we do get the people who kind of do fitness coming, and quite often they've been sent by someone else because they're not very relaxed. So they like those measures because they're unarguable. But what's also quite good is quite often those people get a significant result. I mean, not always, but we often saw that, didn't we, Kirsten? The highest scores were in the people, probably the most skeptical and also the most stressed when they turned up.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a really good shout, actually, about just saying, you know, use your devices that you already have, make a note of them, or borrow a watch. I don't know why that didn't occur to me, but thank you. And then, yeah, maybe we need to do a loan thing, but hopefully not. And then I just wondered if there would be maybe something a bit like this, a meeting coming, you know, after a few of us have done it, maybe as a sort of team up, share best ideas, a bit of a debrief, what went well, what do we need to think differently? Because I quite like this idea once I've got confidence. I don't want to run before I can walk, but you know, there are some people with poor mobility that are really interested in accessing the park more, and I would love to do something like that and encourage a bit more of people with diverse use. You mentioned women only the other night to me, so my mind is already buzzing and I'm slowing myself down, but I think maybe a sharing could be quite useful.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, you guys are our guinea pigs. You're our test group, you know, for us rolling this out. We're right at the very beginning, but our absolute plan is, and thank you for being our guinea pigs, if indeed all of you do get involved. Our plan is, you know, to have kind of monthly meetings, and Kirsten and I have discussed having some guest speakers, people who work in nature connection, but in a slightly different way. We've been having some brilliant conversations with some really exciting people who would bring an awful lot. So yes, we would share new little exercises. We can cross-reference on something that went really well, something I wasn't sure about. We can give advice. and yeah, get exposure to some new ideas and just new research. So yeah, we're quite excited about. That's one thing I think will be really great, is having this little community to feedback.
Especially trying to, as Lucy was just saying, you know, in smaller areas, how have we managed it, and sharing that, I think, could be really useful, because we've all probably got a bit of a diverse area that we're looking at. But well, thank you, and thanks for your support and encouragement so far.
No, you're very welcome. Absolutely. And then in your park, you know, I when I was walking around thinking, oh gosh, you know, we've got some really lovely trees, but there's not a lot of planting. And you know, the beech hedge, there's a nursery in Cater Park where Millie is, and there's this beautiful beech hedge. We spent nearly half an hour in my group just from one question, which was find 3 leaves the same. And so this is the thing, less is more. I didn't need to say anything more than that. And these people started walking along the line of this hedge, and that was that. And they're going, oh look, you know, this one's got, it's got hair on the edge of it, and they were like little children, and that was on a beech hedge. So you really don't need much, and it's being part of that is very special. There's a really wonderful feeling where you can see people opening, their bodies change, their faces change, they look much more relaxed and calm. But then they have these kind of little moments where they find a leaf and they think it's the most fabulous thing they've ever seen in their life. And it's lovely to facilitate that.
So I've got my hands up. Is anybody else? I've got my hands up. Is anybody else though?
Go for it.
Okay, so I was just wanting to get clear on your offer. Is it just a one-off, one-time visit only and then do your own thing? Or is it like you could come a few times across the year? Yeah, I'm just wondering, because we don't have a large number of volunteers at the moment, but we could build up and, you know, capacity build that way.
Absolutely. And a good question. And I think that's probably depends on the park and the individual group. I'm in Croydon, so absolutely I can come definitely and do one walk for members, and I would advise that you get as many of your members as possible to come and, you know, reap the benefits. And yes, I can come and check in. I don't see a problem with that. The idea is, of course, to build up you know, members that can offer the walks. Some of our ambassadors, I've already spoken to them, are keen to get involved with other parks. You know, some of them don't live absolutely in Crystal Palace. So depending on where your park is, you might find that some of our ambassadors come and help you. So, and also likewise, there can be cross-pollination between your parks and your volunteers. The idea is that this is a whole community. It's not just you in your park, it's all of our parks connected together, all kind of crossing people over, and you know, and we can advertise each other's walks. You know, you come to Crystal Palace, you go, oh well, you know, why don't you go and try Norwood Park? They've got a walk. I think they've got one in October. You know, or oh, they're doing a women only walk at the lakes. Why don't you go and try that? So we can all feed into other people's walks. And the great thing is they're all going to be in one central place, so you can see what the rest of us are doing. I mean, Millie's doing genius, a ParkBathe walk followed by tree dressing. So, you know, if you've got people at the moment, I'm telling people we've got, you know, I've got them on Saturday. I've actually got 16 people booked on Saturday, but anyway, we'll deal with that. I didn't want to say no. So we've got all these people coming. I shall send them all to Millie for that tree dressing, because I know that, you know, 3 or 4 of them will go, oh, that sounds lovely, you know. So there'll be a lot of crossovers. So yes, I'm hoping I can support where I can, but that we can all support each other.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, long answer.
I just wanted to be clear on what to report back to Charles.
Of course.
Can I just have a quick, do you find most take-up is for weekends? Because, you know, these days there aren't even many women perhaps around in the week. You know, they've got childcare facilities or responsibilities, or evenings in the summer.
Yes, so you know what, you can run a walk whenever you wish when your park is open. I've run for a year a Friday afternoon walk, which has been very popular, surprisingly popular. So many people work from home that they come out on a lunch hour. Also, there's something about Friday, I think people allow themselves a bit of a treat. It feels like it's their reward when they come to me. And a lot of them tend to say things like, oh, I've just set myself up for the weekend now. This is my dose of kind of calm for the weekend. So you can do a walk at whatever time you wish. It's also, you know, good for your communities as well to have them at different times. But I think it's a case of looking at your green space and seeing what works for you. A lot of them are on the weekends. Absolutely. We find Saturdays are more popular than Sundays. That's Crystal Palace. That might be different in another park. Millie, I think yours is on a Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, one on a Tuesday and one on the Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. So of course you'll get less people during the week, but I think if you did groups for older people, you would actually get a lot of uptake during the week. So if you had somebody that was available to run a walk on you know, a Wednesday morning, let's say, we can definitely help advertise that for older people. In fact, the link workers that Kirsten and I met with, it was the Bromley ones, wasn't it, Kirsten, particularly, that were, they've got an older community there, and they were very, very keen for regular walks that were for older people. And walks that are for older people that are on flyers and leaflets and that they don't have to go and book online. They want pieces of paper, or they want you to, even better, to ring you up. So I rang up quite a few of them.
I've got another question. Oh, sorry, Rosa has something.
No, I'll take mine
Welcome to
down.
the
Sorry,
panel.
it's supposed to be down, my hand. Oh, sorry.
You're welcome to carry on, Catherine.
Okay, great, thanks. I had a worried question through. Our park suffers from incredible levels of littering, and it's heartbreaking. And does that preclude us from being considered, because we don't have the resources to tidy it to be kind of textbook colour supplement ready? So what do you think of that?
I mean,
I think it would help. I think this focus would help people transcend the grim.
yeah.
So I don't see it as an impediment.
No, and it is sad. I mean, I do a little quick litter pick on the little route that we do in Crystal Palace, and I mostly, not always, come back with a bag of litter. I mean, parks are used, you know, for all sorts of things, and I do find all sorts of things. Having said that, I mean, it's interesting when we've taken people on walks. I do remember a couple of people. Some people get upset by the litter, but actually, you know, in some respects, that's no bad thing, because that means that they're going to have a pro-environmental attitude towards this, which is right. Let's, you know what, if they get a bit fired up, this is my park. You know, let's go and do some litter picking. I'm going to volunteer for that. You know, so there's that side. But there was something else that in Crystal Palace Park in the Great North Woods, there's a lot of old railings which are kind of buried in the undergrowth. And I always remember someone saying at the end, you know, she said, you know, once upon a time I'd have been really pissed off when I saw that. But actually I had this completely different attitude as I was walking. It's like humans and nature live together. This is an urban park. And I loved that I stood and looked, and a vine had grown and amongst all the railings. And it was kind of beautiful. And so I think it's a really interesting thing about, you know, the detritus of human life and what we leave in parks and how people's attitude changes towards that. But certainly, if you've got a park with litter, it doesn't exclude you at all.
I always thought that, because I think that people can feel very unhappy looking at stuff and feel that they can't take it on. And then just, you know, being able to shift focus. It's like, you know, one of those two-way pictures. It's like shift your focus and you're cool.
Are you in Croydon?
Yeah, North Croydon, yeah.
Yeah,
By
so if
legacy.
you're in Croydon,
By the legacy thing.
Yeah, contact the Croydon Council, the litter pick team, and Tracy Bellamy will help you with litter picks and things.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions? These are all really good, helpful questions, hopefully.
Can I just ask one other question? You talked about sizes of groups. So is there kind of like a maximum size of a group that you would kind of say, you know, that's, yeah.
Kirsten, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we found the magic number seems to be 8 for the most kind of intimate experience. But Vanessa does tend to overbook, because what happens is if you're offering for something for free, what is it, like 50% don't turn up? So it's safer to overbook. And I don't know, Vanessa, what's the largest group you've had?
I think I think I have had a session where absolutely every single person turned up. So I've had 12. Our little route goes through the Great North Woods, which is absolutely glorious, but it's single file. And I was very grateful when I had my large group for the volunteers, because it meant that we could break the group into like 3s and 4s. Because what happens in the woods is that even if I'm trying to project my voice, I literally disappear into the shrubbery. And so we learned to repeat instructions, so the volunteers helped with that. But if you are a snaking group of 12, you're quite a long snaking group. So absolutely, as Kirsten says, 8's a really good number. My kind of absolute favorite is probably 6. There's a slightly different vibe. Because when you have the little sharing moments, people have a little bit more time. I think I find on the smaller groups that people wander off to the cafe together. People make friends. I mean, people make friends all the time on ParkBathe, which is really nice to see. And we do hear about people hooking up and going and ParkBathing by themselves afterwards. So yeah, 6 to 8's lovely. If you've got 10, great.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? These are hopefully helpful for everybody.
Are you going to send out that batch of slides that you've just shown? It would be useful to us all. Thank you.
Absolutely, totally. And there is an information pack. So if you are interested to know more, and if you would like me to come and run a walk for your members, then just get in touch, let me know, and we'll arrange a date. And if you would like to facilitate a walk, then even better, and we can put a date on the Eventbrite, and we'll give you branded little posters. We'll help you with all of that stuff. So if you do want to do that, just let us know. And yes, the slides will be there to share with your other members. This will be recorded, and there's also lots of information on our Linktree. There's the original film that we made, and all sorts of bits and pieces on there. Yeah.
I do have one more question.
Go
Graveyard?
A graveyard, did you say?
Yeah.
Do you know, I think that's an awesome idea.
We have the most beautiful one in Parchmore Road. I don't know if other people know it. It's got lots of beautiful specimen trees, kind of some museum boards, some nice winding pathways, and it's a very lovely space. I don't know if it has a friends group as such. Maybe it does. Does anybody know Parchmore Graveyard? It's really nice. It's lovely to just come and have a little walk in. And it's got some, quite splendid graves as well. Not like West Norwood, not that scale, but don't get your hopes up. But it's quite attractive, and I think that might also make a nice place.
I think you're right. I think there's something about graveyards that's reflective. I think the idea of walking slow would feel not strange. Personally, I've walked around quite a lot of graveyards. It's something I did when I first moved to London. I find them fascinating. I think definitely 100% ParkBathe. What do you think, Kirsten? That would work well, wouldn't it?
I'm an ex-goth, so I love a cemetery.
I mean, the only thing is it's so interesting, and there's so many things to look at that maybe it's a bit distracting, but there's enough nature in this one that it's very beautiful as well.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I live in Sheffield, and the eastern parts of our city are so deprived. There's hardly any green space. And when I'm over there, I have looked at the cemeteries and thought, this is where you'd want to do, a nature-based activity, and that would reach a sort of more lower income community than normal as well.
Lovely. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much, I guess, Victorian planting, so it's pretty big.
Now there's a good idea for a grant.
Yeah, I'm in the open thanatology group at the OU, so I love like death, dying, whatever.
Yeah, I have to say, yeah. I think it would be great. I love graveyards. I just think I like the way it makes me think and reflect, and of past life, and people's lives kind of lived out in a few words. I think there's all sorts of really, interesting things, and I think it would work extremely well. I think there's definitely something in that.
Okay, thank you. I'll be in touch on some count or other. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll come and recce the graveyard and do one.
There's you can do quite a circuit of quite a number of tiny spaces in that particular area.
I'm loving it already.
Yeah, if I do Nordic walking, I have to cover several parks.
Cool.
Vanessa, mine was just to say, sorry, it's Millie again, just to say that actually I thought the packs were so helpful. You know, I thought I'll read it all before I get in touch with you. And I read it and some of it went in and out. And then when I went back to it, they really are, you've made it very, very useful. So, which has given me the confidence to do it without, I'm a fairly confident woman anyway, but I've done a mindful body scan at work for a few times, but I have led groups, but I haven't done this. And I think you've just made them really spot on and easy. So I want to say thank you for that, but also just to let people know that. And I think you've made it really easy, and the slides are great to just share and let people hopefully start buying into this. And I mean, there's so many options we've talked about, haven't we, already? I mean, the graveyard sounds fantastic. Older people groups, I just think it will. I really hope it will take off, because I've just watched you grow over the last couple of years of your project, both of you, and it's just been fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sorry, I have a really boring question, procedural.
Go for it.
So obviously, as part of the other walking things that the borough used to have, and it's all in a bit of disarray, sadly, the walk leader scheme, the Nordic walking scheme, those were supported by the council and had insurance put on and stuff like that. Is this simply your Kickstarter, and you're expecting the friends groups to have the insurance to cover it because it's just kind of a spread out thing?
Yeah, so absolutely.
So the council supporting you in name only, or in facilitation, or in not charging, or because they like to charge 30 quid for every risk assessment, blah 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 blah. Are they doing any discounts in relation to that? We still got to send money to somebody somewhere for something that will never be read? Do you know?
So I can send you the pack that Millie is describing. It has literally every single question. I'm hoping.
Well, including how much the council's going to charge you to run them.
The council won't charge for this.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. So they're allowing you some dispensation, some formal dispensation.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Parkrun doesn't pay for their community service. This should not be paid for. It's exactly the same vein. And so that's why we've gone through the Friends of groups, because Friends of groups automatically, if they're organised through their landowner and their local council, have public liability insurance for events. So this automatically gets covered under your public liability. I can't say it. Public liability insurance. We also do include in the pack a template risk assessment. So like I say, we are trying to do everything for you. It's just a cut and paste, add in your details, tweak it in any way you think you might need, but it's a standard one, and that we've used that for the last year and had no problems at all. So, but yes, thank you, Millie, for that feedback on the forms. There was a lot of work went into those, and we wanted them to be really friendly and open and comprehensive. So I will send those. It's a little zip file. It'll look a bit like, oh my God, loads of paperwork, but hopefully it is comprehensive when you read through it, and it explains everything, and hopefully any other questions that you might have.
Great, thank you.
Does this fall into a social prescribing category?
Kirsten, that's you.
Yes, it does. And as Vanessa mentioned earlier, we've already had people who've been on our walk. Some of them are healthcare professionals, or some of them are working alongside healthcare professionals, and they've talked about ParkBathe, and we have had some referrals, and we've just started conversations with link workers in Bromley as well about referring people in. So yes, it's available, for free as a social prescription.
Are you connected to the CVA's social link workers, social prescribing link workers, the Croydon ones?
Yeah, Croydon, we're just waiting, actually, aren't we? We've just got back in contact with them.
Sarah, she has quite a list of them.
Yes, yeah. So we've just been given 2 ladies to speak to, and one is on holiday, which is why there's been a bit of a delay. But yes, so we've got that set up. We've also been approached by the Mind charity in both Croydon and Bromley, so hoping to connect with them. But yes, we're referred by, there's a GP who's one of our ambassadors, there's a psychologist, there's an outpatient referral I don't know what you call her, lady, who works at King's. She refers people to us. I forget, there's a couple of others. There's quite a lot of people being referring.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
They do it quietly and then they tell us afterwards.
Can I just ask one more question? I know that it's kind of coming to a close. We're not a friends of group, the garden, the wilderness, but I'm wondering about our eligibility as far as you guys coming in. So we're a garden that's attached to an MHA older person's home, and we're trying to open the garden to the public. We don't charge. We do have public liability insurance. So I'm just wondering if you guys, how you'd feel about coming to do something at the garden, at the wilderness.
Yeah, that would be fine. Because obviously, as ParkBathe, we have public liability insurance, so I can come and run walks. But if you've got PLI, then you should be absolutely fine. I mean, it's a a very low impact.
Plenty of volunteer supporters. I help Lucy there as well, and they're like a friends group because they have a gang of volunteers who help in the garden anyway.
It's a lovely project, isn't it? It's a really beautiful project.
It is a really beautiful project. Yeah, I feel very lucky to be part of it. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. That's great. Thank you, Vanessa.
But yes, absolutely. I can't see any problem with that. Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much. These have been really great questions. If you're happy, I will forward the information pack, the zip file to you all. Any questions, just get in contact. And if you just want to stick a toe in the water and just, have me come and do it, you can take it in stages. Have me come and do a walk for your members, see if you like it. And then you could only volunteer one walk. If you want to do that, that's fine. And just see how it goes. There's no major commitment. I'm not asking you to start running these every single week. Not at all. It's just to see if we are right for your green space and if we can make a walk that's tailored for your community to get more people into your park, more people volunteering. That's the plan. The idea is we want to give this to the community, but we're not dictating. We just want to facilitate. So hopefully we've got that across tonight. Kirsten and I are around for any questions on email. So just fire away, and this recording also will be available.
That's lovely. Thank you. It's been really nice.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Everyone a little
Thank
bit.
you. Really great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Lovely. Good luck with it all, Vanessa and Kirsten. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you on Tuesday.
Yes, see you on Tuesday. See you
Bye.
guys.
Thank you, event, Millie.
Thank you.
Sounds
Thank
amazing.
you.
Sounds really interesting. I'll be in touch.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks for coming, Fiona. Appreciate it.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.